Peace, peace, peace. I'm here again, giving you the true information about who you are as the true English nationals who consisted of Anglo-Saxon tribes. And as we just proved here, based off the history, that they were descendants of God, not like the descendants who were Roman and of French descent, as we just proved here. Because it says here, unlike the Anglo-Saxon royal genealogies, the Merovingians never claimed descent from God, nor is there evidence that they were regarded as sacred. Okay? So now that we have proven that the English church, who was under the authority of the Kingdom of England, who consists of Anglo-Saxon tribes who were actually Berbers, that this is who we are. Because Noble Ali said that you are descendants of kings and queens. He also said don't throw away your slave name, for the Europeans are going to have to pay bound and compound interest for what they did to our descendants in the time of slavery. Okay? So now we understand that from Queen Elizabeth II, who ruling up to this day, who were descendants down from King George I of the Roman Empire in 1714, when it passed from Queen Anne, who was ruling the British Empire by way of a treaty. And now we understand that King George I of the Roman Empire was under the authority of Clovis I, down from the Roman Empire, which goes all the way back to the Merovingian dynasty, who, according to the record, says that they were not descended from gods like the Anglo-Saxon descent. Okay? So now let's get into a little chart to prove this. Because, I'm giving you this information, but it's out of sync with you guys, brothers and sisters' minds. So, it's Wikipedia's baby food for you. And most of the babies can comprehend pictures better than they do words. So give me 1 second. Okay. I'm going to give you a little history that they wrote. Because what they say, he who writes your books sets your timeline. Okay. This is what they call a white ship. A white ship. This ship represents freedom. This is what Frederick Douglass makes reference to when he used to stand on the ports. These ships represented freedom. Now, in 1135, the white ship sank. This particular era was identified as the anarchy, which I told you in my last lesson, my first lesson. And according to the Berber calendar, or AD in the year of our Lord, Annos Dinas, however you pronounce it, means the year of our Lord. This is where the record were kept, according to so-called Jesus. Because we just mentioned that in the last video, that the fleur-de-lis in the Middle Ages was in reference to Jesus. Okay? So now, let's get a history of the Anglo-Saxons who were ruling the Kingdom of England prior to his invasion by the Norman French, i.e., Germans. Okay. Let's close this out. Here you see a picture of William the Conqueror. You see this? National Portrait and Gallery History of the Kings and Queens of England by David Williamson. I suggest you order this book. I got it from a thrift shop for $2.99. But this is where the treasures are hid, because we throw them away because we don't understand this history. So we just throw them in the trash. But this is what we should not do, because this is where the information lies. Okay, so this is William the Conqueror. Close this out. I'm not going to use that mouse. I'm going to use my finger. So you see William the Conqueror just a second ago. All right? He's on the front cover of the book. Oh, I don't want to go there. Where did it go? I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back there. All right, let me blow it up. Yellow light. Okay, you see that? A little bit more. I hate this mouse. It says content. This is the next page. This is what the book is contained with. You see it says content, introduction, BC to AD 871. This speaks 1,000 words, brothers and sisters. Because 871 goes to the time and era of Alfred the Great. And Alfred the Great name means wise elf. But you notice it don't have a date for BC. It just has a date for AD, 871. And the word the word AD means Annos Dominus, or however you pronounce that word, means in the year of our Lord. What Lord they talking about? This is what we're going to find out. Because the word BC don't mean before Christianity, because Berbers were Christians. BC means Berber calendar, because the only calendar that existed prior to the Gregorian calendar was the Berber calendar, because the Gregorian calendar was created in 1582. So how could there be a before Christian era when the calendar where the only story calendar to support that story wasn't created until 1582? But yet they start with the AD in the year of our Lord. Shouldn't the Lord exist in BC? He should exist in AD. And so if the Lord existed in BC, and there was no Christianity back then, there were Berbers. The so-called Lord was a Berber, because they didn't switch from BC to AD until the year 951. Look it up. 1 BC to 1 AD. In the Berber calendar, it is the year 950 or the year to the year 951. Isn't that a little strange? Okay. Here it says, the next one, you see Anglo-Saxon and the Danes. The next one is the Normans. Give me 1 second, my brothers and sisters. I gotta make 1-1. That'll be a second. Okay, I'm back. All right, so next you see the Normans, then the Angevins, then the Plantagenets, the House of Lancasters, the House of York, the Tudors, the Stuarts, the House of Hanover, the House of Saxon, Coburg, and Gotha, the House of Windsor, and that's it. Okay? So why did the book stop at that? Because the House of Windsor is the house that's ruling now, Queen Elizabeth II. Her great-grandmother was Queen Victoria. All right? You get into King George V. House of Hanover was started by King George I. House of Stuart was started by King James and ended with Queen Anne in 1714. The Tudors and the House of York and the House of the House of Lancasters, this was the house dealing with the what they call the War of the Roses. You get into so-called House of Lancasters, you get into the history of what they call the so-called passport, birth certificate, and the Social Security number. Back then, in 1667, it was called a settlement certificate. Because in the 14th century, King Henry the Eighth destroyed all the churches and monasteries because of this war that was going on by the invading cadets, House of Lancaster and the House of York, who were all part of the House of Plantagen, which was ruled by Godfrey V, Count of Anjou. They were ruling Jerusalem at this particular time. Okay? Anglo-Saxons and the Danes ended in the year 1035 AD. 1035 AD, and the Berber calendar is actually the year 9596 BC, and the Gregorian calendar, which we know that story didn't exist because the calendar didn't exist till 1582. But the story to support John, who received on the island of Patmos, received the book of Revelations concerning the so-called Jews. But if you look at the so-called 95, 96 BC, there is no English king. Then the only English king you get is William the Conqueror in the year 1066. So prior to that, you have the Anglo-Saxon, the Gregorian calendar, but there is no English king. So the only calendar that is used is the Berber calendar, and you see Anglo-Saxon kings ruling at that particular time. Now you have the Normans. This is 1066. All right? So let's close this out. Okay. If you look at this king, I'm sorry, brothers and sisters, hold on for one more second. Yeah, I took it. Yeah, I took it, Lee. Remember I said, when we first open up the pictures, pay close attention to this, my brothers and sisters. I'm going to go back for you, just to show you. I'm sorry, brothers. Excuse me. I apologize. Okay. You see here? Let me blow it up a little bit more so you can see it. No excuses. You see that? Introduction BC to AD 871. 871 is where Alfred the Great existed. But BC is where they switched from AD to BC to AD in the year 951. So all the way until Alfred the Great story is kind of sketchy. Why? Because BC, they didn't switch to BC to AD until the year 951. So how could there be 871 if they didn't switch to BC to AD until the year 951 AD? So that means this is not even true, telling the story of Alfred the Great. Because That's the story dealing with the Anglo-Saxons starts with Alfred the Great and the Danes. So Alfred the Great might have been a Dane. We're going to prove this. So now let's go back to this picture, because the first king of the Anglo-Saxons who were actually crowned with the crown is this king. Okay. This king is King Edgar Jefferson, or King Edgar the Peaceful. You see him with a crown on his head. He's holding a scepter, and he has what they call, what's this called? A globus Christos, which is a globe and a cross. That means the Christ, and the globe means the world. Salvation of the world, because the cross means salvation. He has a hair like wool, right? His beard. He had on the ground cloth, look at his white, and gold breastplate, all the way down to the floor. You see the checkerboard? The checkerboard was symbolic of Berbers. If you go in a barber shop, the floor should be a checkerboard, but outside of the barbershop, you see that spinning thing. That's what they call a symbolic of France, i.e. Normandy, because the Anglo-Saxon kingdom was invaded by Normans in 1066 by William the Conqueror. So prior to that, the only king that were ruling in England were Asiatic kings, because this person clearly looks Asiatic, and he looks just like me. If you had a picture of me with my locks and my small beard, you see he looks exactly like me. He has my last name, because the word Jefferson in Old English is called Godfrey. Geofreyson. Son is a prefix. It's a suffix meaning son. Frey means fire. Frey or fire means Lord, and the word Geo means earth. Geo means earth. So if you said it from left to right, from left to right, it would mean the Son, or Lord on earth. The Son, Lord on earth, or vice versa. Earth, Lord, and the Son. Vice versa, it means the Son of God. This was God. This is the one they're talking about in the book of Revelation. He was born in 943 and died in 975 AD. Dealing with AD means the Annos Duinus means the year of our Lord. So is this the first king who ever crowned with the crown? That must have been Jesus Christ. Why? Because BC then switched from BC to AD to the year 950-951. This king was born in 943. He came to be a king in 959. That's a young age. That's 13 years. Same age with Jesus. All right. You see a checkerboard here once again. If you look at the Almohad dynasty, there's a white flag with a checkerboard on it. It's not a green flag, 5-pointed green star. It's a checkerboard. These were Berbers. Okay, let's close this out. Okay, let's go here. Let's look at a family tree. Okay. There you see it for yourself. Alfred the Great, 871. Remember
Remember, how could there be an 871 when they didn't switch to AD till the year 950, 951? So King Edgar was born in 943 and came to rule in 959. All right, so if you see here, Alfred the Great, you go into his descendants, you see his wife, which had Asherton. We said the kingdom in our last message, last class, it started from Kingdom of England last from 927. So this was the king that ruled. And if you look at the picture to your right, under Asherton, you can see his picture was whitewashed. Okay? Asherton, then you had Edmund the Magnificent and Edred. Edmund the Magnificent is King Edgar's father. Let's go down and prove this. If you look down, you see this is King Edgar the Peaceful, 959 to 975. This is when he first became king, and this is when he passed away or died. He was born in the year 943. Okay? Let's go down a little further. Ethelred the Unready is a very important figure because the kingdom fell. Ethelred. Ethel means blood, gas, and blood. That's what it means. Ethel. A gas. And the color of the gas within us is red. That represents the blood. The unready means he was ill-advised. All right? So now we go down a little further. It shows you other descendants of the family. But the most important figures of the family is the ones I'm pointing to. King Edgar the Peaceful, who married Elfrida, which gave birth to Ethelred the Unready. Okay? Let's close this out. Okay. The Anglo-Saxons and the Danes. If you read it on your own computer, you should be able to see it real clear. I'm going to blow it up some more. Okay, you should be able to read that. The Anglo-Saxons and the Danes. Alfred was born at the royal manor of Wantage in Berkshire. Wantage it's a name for a shire or county. All right, that's what it means. Every state it has counties, what they call shire back in the Middle Ages. Royal Manor of Wantage in Berkshire. In 849, according to his biographer Asher, but statesmen of his age at various dates would indicate a year or two earlier. In 853, according to Asher, Alfred was sent to Rome by his father and was there confirmed and invested as a Roman consul by Pope Leo IV, as an act elaborated by Asher to be indicative of Alfred's future kingship. 2 years later, Alfred went to Rome, again accompanying his father, King Ethelwulf, and acquiring a stepmother on his return journey. So this is where you get the story of Beowulf, and so on and so forth. They were all Vikings, Scandinavians. Now, Alfred the Great was married to Elgifo, as we just read. She was Asiatic as well, and her picture was whitewashed. Look it up on Wikipedia. But for the sake of time, I'm going to go past that. As you see here, if you see the genealogy, Ethelred the Unready married Emma of Normandy. Ethelred, and if you scroll down, Esther Normandy and King Ethelred, Emma of Normandy and King Ethelred the Unready had a son called Saint Edward the Confessor. This was in the year 1042. In 1035, which is the biblical calendar, is the year 995 AD or 96 AD. This is when so-called John received the so-called Book of Revelations. But the Book of Revelation was in relation to this, because this is when the kingdom just started to fall and it passed to what they call the Danes, the Anglo-Saxons and the Danes. If you go back up here,
Swing Forkbeard, also king of Denmark and Norway. All right, let's go with this out. You can read up on all the other figures on your own time. Okay, let's go here. Here you have Robert the Devil. This is in the Duke of Normandy, France, who are allies with the Roman Republic, going back to Clovis I of the Merovingian dynasty, who claimed they were never descendants of God, like the Anglo-Saxon kings, who were descendants down from Atherton in 927, and not King Alfred the Great from 871. He wasn't even on the record. Duke of Normandy. Hey, don't forget this. It says Robert the Devil, Robert II, the Devil, Duke of Normandy. Now, William the Conqueror had a ship called the Mora. The Mora is a term in Latin, means mulberry, right? And if you look in the scriptures, mulberry means symbolic of the devil. We're going to get to that, but for the sake of time, I can't do it right now. William the Conqueror had a ship called Mora, and his son Henry the First had a ship called the White Ship. All right, which sunk in the Atlantic coast. This is the time which was called the Anarchy. We're gonna get to this. It happened right between here, Henry the First and Matilda. See it, 1100 to 1135. Dealing with the White Ship. White Ship represents freedom. Freedom only came by way of the Plantagenet House under Godfrey V, Plantagenet, Count of Anjou and Maine, and his wife Matilda, who was descended down from Henry I and his wife Matilda. This is when the story got broken up. They stole our estate, my brothers and sisters. And I'm going to stop this one, and we're going to move on to the next one.